Vocal fry is one of the most talked about vocal qualities of the last 15 years. Some people want it, some people hate it, some people have been told it's ruining their careers.
We get these comments every time we do an episode together, which are people will say like, wish I could listen to this, but this vocal fry is unlistenable.
So before you leave that comment about how you love the content but you can't listen to the vocal fry, delete that comment and go outside.
Today, we're going to sort through all of it. What vocal fry actually is, where the cultural baggage around it comes from, and why that baggage has a misogyny problem.
You come with a lot of baggage that isn't your fault.
What brand new research says that flips the whole narrative on its head, and what all of this means specifically for your trans voice practice. Hi, I'm Renee, and I'm a gender-affirming voice teacher. Okay, so vocal fry. Let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start.
Very good place to start.
What is vocal fry? What does it sound like? And how exactly does it work? What is vocal fry? Vocal fry is the lowest of the 4 vocal registers or vibratory mechanisms. We won't get into the other registers because I covered it in my video called Why Your Voice Flips and How to Control It, which you can check out in the link in the description. But anyway, I think the best way to describe what vocal fry sounds like is with a good old-fashioned highlight reel. T, roll it.
And this month, I didn't have time to do that.
And welcome back to another very strange video.
And when did you realize you were good at it? You know, like,
I've always been a little oblivious to it. I've always loved to make music.
Actually, my son Sam plays soccer. Saint loves to watch it, so we travel the world.
But never acknowledged.
Have you guys seen what's going on with Gwen Stefani?
Would you like to describe maybe the political significance of Orange County, California?
I'm also demanding, stubborn, self-sufficient, and always right.
Or raise the price for the original person.
because I've been trying to post on TikTok a little bit more.
Yeah, and this is drag failures.
Now, how do we actually make that sound? Vocal fry happens when we fully but gently bring the vocal folds together and then let only the tiniest trickle of air bubble through while maintaining that closure. That sounds like a lot, but stay with me. The way I like to teach this is to start by preparing to cough, but gently. Right? When you prepare to cough, you can feel a complete closure happening in your airway like this. But you want to do that gently. Now, instead of actually coughing, just maintain that closure and let the smallest possible amount of air through, like almost nothing, just a trickle. That bubbling, popping, crackling sound, that's vocal fry.
We've done it!
So you may be wondering how air is escaping if we're pressing the vocal folds together. Think of it kind of like a lip trill, but at the level of your vocal folds. When you lip trill, like, or you are pressing your lips together and letting air through at the same time. It's sort of the same with vocal fry, but with your vocal folds instead of your lips. You'll notice that vocal fry tends to happen naturally at the end of sentences when your air is running low and your pitch drops to its lowest point. Vocal fry often occurs at the bottom of your pitch range, and it thrives when there isn't much air pressure pushing through. Let me give you a few examples. What would I say if I was tired? I don't really feel like going out today. I just had a really long day. And then I said to him, I just don't want to be a part of that. Right? Are we getting the picture here? Okay.
Yeah.
Now that you know what it is and how it's made, let's talk about why it became such a cultural flashpoint. The cultural moment. In 2011, a study out of Long Island University found that more than 2/3 of the 34 college-age women they recorded used vocal fry, mostly at the end of sentences. Not an enormous sample size, but the fallout was major. A journalist for Science magazine wrote about the study, it went viral, and according to Ira Glass, it became the most read article ever published on the Science magazine website in its 15-year history. And then the pile-on began.
Look, I can see where this is going.
The Today Show ran a segment, Gawker, Huffington Post, and Boing Boing all picked it up. Suddenly, vocal fry was everywhere, and it was framed as a problem. Specifically, a young women problem.
I love that kind of misogyny.
In 2014, a study told young American women point blank that they should avoid vocal fry to maximize their career opportunities. The study found that voices exhibiting vocal fry were rated as less competent, less educated, less trustworthy, less attractive, and less hireable. And those negative perceptions were even stronger when the listener was also a woman. And then there's this clip from This American Life, which I think captures the cultural moment best.
But for a while now, the women on our staff have been getting emails like this one. Quote, "The voice of Hannah Jaffe-Walt is just too much to bear, and I turn off any episode she's on. Quick bit of research found an appropriate description, which is vocal fry. How can This American Life have this on the show?" Somebody wrote us about Elise Spiegel, who's been on our show many, many times, now co-hosts the NPR science program Invisibilia. Quote, "Perhaps Elise could cover the vocal fry epidemic. It'd be really interesting to hear her take, as she is clearly a victim herself. Elna Baker, Mary Beth Kirshner, Starlee Kine, Yohei Shah. When investigative reporter Susan Zalkind was on our show last year with the story of the FBI shooting a man connected to the Boston Marathon bombers, she sounded like this.
But Ibrahim also got arrested for beating a guy unconscious over a parking space at a mall in Florida.
A woman wrote in, quote, "The growl in the woman's voice was so annoying that I turned it off." A man wrote, quote, "Listen, I know there's pressure to hire females, in particular young females just out of college. And besides, they're likely to work for less money. But do you have to choose the most irritating voices in the English-speaking world? I mean, are you forced to?"
It's trash.
What I want you to notice in that clip is something that Ira Glass and producer Hannah Jaffe-Walt land on together. Ira Glass also uses vocal fry, like a lot, and he always has.
This one, to bear, which is vocal fry.
But nobody was writing furious emails about his voice, because the anger and hatred directed towards women using vocal fry is not really about the fry, okay? It's about whose voices are taking up space. And you can fight with me in the comments.
Oh, you know, Eli, same
Misogyny.
different day.
I'm gonna say it straight so there can be no mistaking where I stand on this. The hatred of vocal fry in young women is rooted in misogyny. It is simply the latest in a long line of reasons to tell women that the way they naturally speak is wrong. Before vocal fry, it was upspeak, and before that, it was the word like. And as linguist Penny Eckert pointed out, young men do all these things too. We just don't seem to notice or care as much when they do. And it turns out that observation is backed up by some pretty compelling new research. Busting the myth. It's myth busting time. In 2025, linguist Jeannie Brown and her colleague Morgan Sonderegger at McGill University here in beautiful Montreal published a study in the Journal of Phonetics that looked at the actual acoustic correlates of vocal fry in 49 Canadian English-French bilingual speakers. And what they found completely flips the script. Acoustically, men's voices are unequivocally creakier than women's. Every single acoustic measure they used pointed in the same direction. And on top of that, creakiness or vocal fry increased with age, meaning older speakers used more vocal fry than younger ones. So not only is vocal fry not a young women thing, it's actually more of an older man thing.
I can't wait to crack him open like a creaky cellar door and explore the hidden treasures within.
Capitalism.
But then why do we hear it so much in women's voices? Brown addressed this directly at the 2026 meeting of the Acoustical Society of America, where she presented a follow-up perception study. She had 40 listeners rate the creakiness or vocal fry of voice recordings where the speaker's gender was ambiguous. And here's what she found. When people couldn't tell if they were listening to a man or a woman, they were perfectly good at identifying vocal fry. But in everyday life, where we can see and make assumptions about who is speaking, we flag women as creaky far more often than the acoustic data justifies. We're not hearing more fry in women's voices because it's actually there. We're hearing it because we expect it to be there. As Brown put it, the conflict between that finding and everyday perception, where women are routinely flagged as creakier, suggests the bias is real but socially constructed, rather than grounded in how women actually sound. And then she said something that I think is really worth sitting with. Advice telling women to avoid vocal fry to protect their careers and social perception puts the burden on speakers rather than challenging listeners' biases. And that framing does real harm.
What a
freaky, creepy place.
So where does that leave us? Vocal fry is a natural feature of human speech. It's more common in men and older speakers than in young women. The cultural narrative got it almost entirely backwards, and the harm caused by keyboard warriors flaming Taylor Lorenz's comment section is real.
Give me your keyboard.
Now, what does any of this mean for trans voice training specifically? Vocal fry and trans voice. Okay, so now that we've established that vocal fry is a natural feature of human speech that has been unfairly policed in women's voices, let's talk about what this all means for your trans voice practice, because the implications go in a few different directions depending on your goals. For trans feminine folks, here's something interesting to think about. Even though the research shows that men are actually creakier than women, the perception that vocal fry is feminine is very much alive in the cultural imagination. That means that if you are working on feminizing your voice, vocal fry could actually be a useful tool for telegraphing femininity, depending on your context and community.
We can use this.
Think about the sultry, breathy, creaky voices we associate with femininity in pop culture. Think Kim Cattrall, think Scarlett Johansson, think basically every female video game character ever made. Now, I want to be clear, you absolutely do not need vocal fry to be read as feminine. Resonance and pitch and vocal weight do plenty of heavy lifting in that department. But if a little fry feels right to you, if it feels like part of your flavor of femininity, then the research gives you permission to lean into it without any shame. For trans masculine folks, vocal fry lives at the bottom of your pitch range, which means it can give the impression of a deeper, heavier voice. And some trans masculine folks do use it intentionally for exactly that reason.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
However, I want to offer a gentle note of caution here, because in my experience, resonance is a far more powerful and reliable tool for projecting masculinity than vocal fry is. A darker, larger resonance will usually do more for your masculine voice goals than adding fry, and it usually allows you to speak louder than you can when using vocal fry. That said, if you want to experiment with vocal fry as one color in your trans masculine palette, go for it, because as the research shows, it's very common in men's voices.
You do you.
Now, regardless of your gender expression goals, there is one more thing I want to tell you about vocal fry, and it might surprise you. Vocal fry as a therapeutic tool. I want to introduce you to speech-language pathologist Katarina H., who has a YouTube channel about voice health. She makes the case that vocal fry, far from being something to eliminate, is actually one of the most useful therapeutic tools available for people dealing with vocal strain and tension. So how does it work? Remember how we said that vocal fry happens when the vocal folds come together gently with very little air pressure? That turns out to be exactly what a tired, strained voice needs. When your voice is strained, it usually means that too many muscles are working too hard during phonation, or making sound. There's too much squeeze, too much effort, too much tension. Vocal fry done correctly requires the opposite of all that. The vocal folds come together in a gentle, relaxed way with almost no subglottal pressure pushing through. That's air pressure from below. Vocal fry is basically the most relaxed and chill sound you can make.
Chill.
I'm very chill.
This makes it a genuinely useful tool for two things in particular. First, releasing tension from a strained or tired voice, as I mentioned. At the end of a long day of trans voice practice or a demanding social situation, a few minutes of gentle vocal fry can help decompress the voice and release built-up muscular tension. Second, for people with unwanted breathiness in their voice, vocal fry can actually help improve vocal fold closure by teaching the folds to come together without squeezing or pushing. Now, there's an important caveat here, because there is a healthy way to do vocal fry and a less healthy way. The key is keeping it gentle and relaxed, using very little air and not pushing. If your vocal fry feels effortful or tense, that's a sign you're working too hard. So back off, let a little more air escape, and try again.
But you have to be chill.
I will be so chill.
And be sure to limit this practice to just a few minutes a day at first to avoid overworking your voice. So whether or not you use vocal fry as a color in your trans voice palette, it may still be a useful tool in your practice. Conclusion. So is vocal fry a friend or foe in trans voice training? The answer, as with most things in this field, is, say it with me, It's complicated.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Vocal fry is not a flaw or even a bad habit. It's not an epidemic creeping through the speech patterns of young women. It is a natural vocal color, one that all human voices are capable of producing, that has been unfairly weaponized against women for over a decade. It can be a tool for telegraphing femininity if that's your goal, or it can add texture and depth to a transmasculine voice. And it can be a therapeutic tool for releasing tension and building healthier vocal habits. Like any vocal color, you get to choose whether it's part of your palette. Maybe you love the sultry, creaky quality it adds to your voice. Maybe it doesn't feel like you at all. As with all things in trans voice training, I invite you to take what works and leave what doesn't. Now, I am aware that some of you watching this video have vocal fry that you didn't choose and would like to reduce. That is a very legitimate goal, but it is a topic for another video. Let me know in the comments if that's something you'd like to see, and I'll add it to the list. If you want to keep exploring your voice, check out my courses, Mindful Voice Feminization, Masculinize Your Voice Without Testosterone, and Mix and Match Designing Your Non-Binary Voice. That's all for today. I've been Renee, and I hope this helps. I'm getting hot from feelings.
Yeah. You're getting hot from the energy.
Yes.
Let me know.
Why can't we do like a Beyonce thing where my hair is always being blown backwards by a fan? And then we just ADR all the...
Yeah, ADR everything. Record every video twice.
Yeah, I love it.
With lip syncing needing to be done.
Okay.